Injured some muscles in my back, and I'm starting some therapy day after tomorrow. So if you'll pardon me for sitting down to do my seminar today. I'm not used to doing that. This is my 42nd year lecturing, and I've never had to sit down before, but thank you very much. And thanks to Greg for inviting me to stop by. I just got back from Argentina and from Venezuela. I got out of there just as the marches started, right? Chavez was about to get kicked out. Sure enough, he made it, and he stayed in. So I go to dangerous places. I used to take 4 bodyguards when I went to Russia 10 years ago. Now it's down to 1. So somebody says, how's Russia doing? You can tell by how many bodyguards I have to take. And they're doing pretty good. But during those tough days, right, I took two security guys with me and picked up 2 more when we got into the country. But things are certainly changed and improving in Russia. I enjoy teaching capitalism to the Russians over the last 10 years. I'll be making this year my 5th visit to Russia and all other countries around the world. But it's a special privilege for me to be here today. Don, Greg, and I go back a lot of years. We call it the Tony Robbins days. Since he became out of the group that got together back then, he became probably the most famous, right, around the world. And those were extraordinary days. And I was sort of growing up along with everybody else back then, because here's a good note to make, you that are involved especially in teaching and training. When someone speaks and someone listens, some unique dynamic things can happen. One, transformation. Transformation of the person who listens by ideas that might come at a timely time. Suddenly the lights go on, you're never the same again. But also you can be transformed by being the one who teaches, not the one who listens. That can certainly happen, but the one who teaches. If you struggle hard to make it clear for someone else, it makes it more clear for you. The English language is rather clumsy sometimes when we try to express what's going on in our head, let alone our heart. But if we choose the best words we can, and if we're sincere, and that's the underwriting theme of lecturing, trying to get an idea across to someone, whether it's one person of 1 or an audience of 1,000, is first of all sincerity, and hopefully today you'll find me sincere based on my reputation of now 40+ years. However, here's a good note to make. Sincerity is not a test of truth. We must not make the mistake of saying he must be right, he's so sincere. See, that could be a mistake, because it's possible to be sincerely wrong. So we don't judge truth by sincerity. You can only judge truth by truth. But hopefully you'll find me both truthful and sincere today, and I want to draw from, many years of experience and many years of exciting association with those who came so early, like Don, age 18. I think Tony Robbins was like 17. These were just young kids who came along, teenagers. Mark Hughes, who sat in my class, started Herbalife. He was 19. So these were teenagers, and they turned out to be superstars, making incredible contributions to themselves, their families, their country, their community, their businesses. And I couldn't be more proud than to come back at the invitation of Don and Greg and have a chance to sit down and spend a few minutes with all of you. If you're ready to take some notes, say I'm ready. Let me give you Jim Rohn's version and view of the 21st century. The year 2000 started a new century. 21 started what we call a new millennium. A millennium is a 1,000-year period. According to written history, we've covered now 6 millenniums. And now we've started the 7th millennium. And some scholars say it looks like this 7th millennium could be an extraordinary time in the history of the world. And I sort of tend to agree. Here's my view. Number one, unprecedented opportunity, 21st century. There's been nothing like it in the history of the world, certainly the last 6,000 years. The technology to do extraordinary things. We pick up a telephone now and talk to somebody on the other side of the world just as if it was nothing. Impossible to do all those years ago. Transportation. I get on an airplane in Los Angeles. 14 hours later, I'm in Tokyo. 5 meals, 3 movies, you're there. Before they shut down operations, I used to fly the Concorde. 3 hours, London, New York. Extraordinary. If you fly the Concorde, you can see 2 sunsets in one day. If you're in London, watch the sun go down. When you get to New York, you watch it go down for the second time. You can have breakfast in Paris, lunch in London, and dinner in New York, all on the same day, if you fly the Concorde. How many of you have heard that the sun always comes up in the east? Not true. If you fly the Concorde at 1,400 miles an hour due west, the sun comes up in the west. It's one of the most extraordinary sights to see if you haven't tried it. It's extraordinary. And you meet interesting people. I met Henry Kissinger on the Concorde. Before his accident, I met Christopher Reeve. Said to my business partner, we're going to be okay. Superman's on this plane. How lucky can you get? So, transportation, communication, technology, the whole thing has come to a point where these are going to be extraordinary years, especially these opening years of the 21st century. Here's what's next. Extraordinary opportunity for every business, every community, every country, every nation, every industry in the world. But here's the next part, keen competition. You might not feel so much the world competition, but you know, it's there. A job becomes available in Southern California. Question, does it go to India or does it stay in Southern California? These are those kind of extraordinary times. World competition, keen competition, but extraordinary opportunity. Now here's the big question let's spend some time on. How to be best prepared for the competition and the opportunity of the 21st century. With America leading the way. No more best example of the last 6,000 years of extraordinary opportunity than America, the beginning of the 21st century. So we're in the middle of it. We're surrounded by it. It's everywhere. You know, America is the envy of the world. Everybody wants to come here. They're not building rafts to get to Cuba. They're not squeezing through the fence to get into Mexico. The boat people are not headed for Vietnam. Everybody wants to come to America. Neil Diamond sings, right? Everybody's coming to America. And the reason is because we've got this extraordinary place with the most unusual opportunity in 6,000 years of written human history all around us. Now the key is how can we individually and collectively for a company or an office take advantage of these extraordinary times and pick up the pace of both learning and application so that we can do our share of cashing in on these extraordinary times for ourselves and then make the investments necessary for the future. Along with all of the challenges, as there has been for the last 6,000 years of recorded history, from terrorists and war and all the rest, there hasn't been a century free. Last century was probably the worst, hopefully the worst that will ever be in terms of warfare. 50 million people were killed in World War II. 19 million of them were Russian. Those were bloody times. Times of tyranny, communism, Nazism, fascism. Hopefully those times are now behind us. Years and years ago, when I went to South America, every country had a dictator. Now all the dictators are gone. And in the whole world, there's just a few left. Saddam Hussein is in jail. You know, China and Cuba, there's just a few left. So these are extraordinary turns of events. But the key is now, how can we take advantage? Along with, you know, personal challenges and national challenges, international challenges that have always been with us. According to the storyteller, when there were 4 people on earth, one killed the other, wiped out 25% of the population. So it hasn't gotten that bad. But these are challenging times as well as times of extraordinary opportunity. So we have to be ready for both the challenge and the opportunity. So that's the key, how to be ready for both the challenge and the opportunity. The challenge that faces us every day, to do business correctly so we can secure the future. Speaking of real estate, there's an interesting story from the Bible. I'm an amateur on the Bible, but here's an interesting story. Maybe this will be the centerpiece of what I have to say today. According to the storyteller, here's the story for your notes. There were 2 nice people. This is the story of 2 nice people. Not one good, one bad, not one good, one evil. This is the story of 2 nice people. However, and that's the big word, however, is what creates what we call the great human drama. God, I guess, is interested in drama. The storyteller tells us he created all these angels. I asked a colleague of mine, why do you suppose he did that? And he said, evidently God didn't want to be alone. I said, oh, that's as good an answer as I can possibly find. Then 1/3 of the angels, along with Lucifer, the leader, decided to make a move on God's throne and take over his place. They didn't make it and got kicked out of heaven, according to the storyteller. And so began the drama of the creator and the spoiler. And it looks like that drama still continues today. So we all have to face that. There's the story of 2 nice people, however. And here it is, about as simple as you can put it. One of these nice people built his house on the rock. And the other nice person built his house on the sand. Wow. 2 nice people. Meaning, it's possible for nice people to make errors in judgment. It's possible for nice people to make foolish decisions about their future. What's right, what's wrong. What to do, what not to do. Then the story says, and then the storms came, as they always do, and the one that built his real estate on the rock was saved, and the other that built his house on the sand was lost. So in this extraordinary opening moments of the 21st century, we have before us now opportunity mixed with challenge. And the whole key for our office and for our company and for ourselves and for our family is, how can we best gather ideas, information, experience, learn from others, whatever, so that we build solidly our future, enthusiastically, yes, with great momentum, yes, prospects of great fortune, yes, but make sure we build on the rock and not on the sand. It's a moral question as well. It's a business question as well. It's a political question as well. When I first started going to Russia, they still had the great debate of communism versus capitalism. Communism said, capital belongs to the state, not the people. And we taught just the opposite. No, capital belongs to the people, not the state. Communists said, no, people are too dumb and stupid to know what to do with capital, so you have to take capital away from all the dumb, stupid people and give it to the all-wise, all-knowing state. And let the state run everything, and let the people show up for their work assignment. They built on political and economic sand. We said, no, capital belongs to the people, not the state. If all the capital belongs to the state, it makes the state too powerful. And the corruption of power leads to an uncivil society. And sure enough, that's what happened, especially under communism and Nazism and fascism. So now we believe capital belongs to the people, not the state. And the people, in the minds of the people, is where the ideas are to bring value to the marketplace, chance to make fortune, take good people with you, inspire others to do the same. So, with that challenge, making sure we build on the rock, not the sand, which is both moral and spiritual and economic, making those critical decisions at moments of destiny, which way to go, what to do. Maybe there's going to be a lot of thoughtful conversation and thoughtful thinking over the days and hours that you're spending here. Not just new ideas on how to vitalize your business and make it run, make it double, make it multiply by 5 by 10, but how to walk the whole moral ground, ethical ground, as well as good, sound business principles and all the rest, so that for you and your future and your family, it's built on the rock and not on the sand. Now, how to accomplish that? Let me give you some good ideas. Here's number one. You have to have more than one skill. We all watched, right, the last 20, 25 years when companies were downsizing, the division got chopped. Guy worked for the company for 20 years. His division's now eliminated. He's out of a job. He tells us he's having economic difficulty. And one of the reasons was he had only one skill. So here's number one, multiple skills. That's part of the safety for the future. For me, I started learning those multiple skills, changed my life. One helped me make my fortune by the time I was 31, but drastically changed my whole life, laid the foundation for my whole career, finally brought me to Palm Springs, La Quinta today. I made a list of those basic multiple skills I learned. I was raised in farm country in Idaho, southwest Idaho. I knew how to milk cows, but didn't pay very well. Here's the first skill, extra skill I learned that started changing my life, and that was sales. Find a product or a service you believe in, be able to present it so well, someone says, yes, I'll become a customer. Then the rest of the fortune making is in good service. Excellent service leads to multiple sales. One good customer, well taken care of, is worth thousands of dollars in advertising. A good customer well taken care of can open doors you can't open, find people you can't find on your own. One good person well taken care of, a chance to render extraordinary service. I learned how to do that, and my income then started to grow. Multiplied by 5 the first year. So now I got 2 skills, milking cows, getting customers. Here's the third one I learned, changed my life forever, finding good people. If you have an enterprise and you need good people, another good suggestion from the Bible, here's what it says. If you search, you will find. If you want good people, you just have to go searching. It says if you're looking for a door of opportunity, you must go knocking on doors. First door you knock on, voice says, there's nobody here. Oh, that's interesting. Second door, go away. Okay, nobody. Fourth door. It opens. There's a person. Could be the beginning of a friendship, colleague for life, opportunity, chance to make money. I learned this skill, finding good people. Someone asked me one time, do you teach your people to be nice? I said, no, I recruit nice people. Just bypass all those other classes. Finding good people. So now I got what? 3 skills. Milking cows, finding customers, getting good people. Here's the next one that really accelerated my income, and that's organizing, getting people to work together. And it's like the family, it's challenging. Different ages, different personalities, different temperaments. How do you get them all to work together so that the end result is positive and powerful? It's challenging, but it pays off if you learn it. Organizing independent people is like herding cats. If you've got the picture. Herding sheep is easy, right? They all quickly get going the same direction very quickly, but not cats. If you have 9 different cats, they're going how many directions? 9. But if you master it, if you learn it, how to shift, right? Understand a variety of personalities, temperaments, ages, all the rest. If you learn it, the income, this multiplied my income some more. Here's the next one, made me rich. Recognition. Promotion, recognition. Sometimes the company promotes for the major steps. I learned to recognize people for small steps of progress. Every little thing I could think of. Figure out rewards for small steps. And then here's a philosophy that really changed for me everything. Be so busy giving other people recognition, you really don't need it for yourself. Then I'll just mention one more on multiple skills that really brought me to this table, and that's communication. Affecting other people with your language. Words are almost godlike in power. The storyteller says, in the beginning God spoke, said, let there be light, and there was light, giving us the idea God's words created light. And humans can get pretty close to that. What if somebody can't see how they could possibly be successful, and you came along choosing the best words you could and told your story? And when you finished your story, they said, now I can see. Now it's clear. Before I got here, I was blind. Now that you've talked to me, I can see. That's almost godlike in power. Person said, I was blind. Now I can see. In fact, while you were talking, some things dawned on me. See, that's marvelous. What does the dawn mean? Sun coming up. The lights turning on. We say by conversation, when you talk to somebody, it's possible for the lights to go on. They can see it. They can see it. Because there's more than one way to see. One is to see with your eyes, and the other is to see with your imagination, your understanding. Human beings can close their eyes and say, I see it, it's clear. I see it, it's clear. How can you see it with your eyes closed? No, there's another way to see. And it's possible by language to help someone to see. The possibilities, the opportunity, the future, to see the answers, to solve a whole variety of human problems and challenges. It's one of the greatest gifts you can possibly aspire to learn, the gift of communication. Now, I've divided it into 3 parts, and you're familiar with these parts. Number 1 is training, showing somebody how the business works. Here's the job and how to do it. In simple language, training. Here's the next one, teaching. Teaching someone how life works. I fortunately met a man when I was 25 years old that taught me both job skills and life skills. He gave me excellent training on how to do the job. I became a millionaire by the time I was 31, from age 25. So he taught me well. But the greatest thing he taught me was life skills. Not just the business skills, but the life skills. He taught me how to set goals. He taught me how to become a leader. Taught me how to influence. He taught me time management. Here's one of the greatest keys on time management, if you're ready. For your notes, don't start the day until you have it finished. Building a good day is like building a house. When would you start building the house? Could someone bring me my cup of coffee right there? Thank you. When would you start building a house? Okay, in following my little analogy here, you wouldn't start building the house until you had it finished. Oh, now my coffee's leaving. Okay. Okay. So you wouldn't start building a house until you had it finished. If you're just out there laying bricks and somebody says, "What are you building?" you say, "I have no idea." See, they'll come and take you away, right? Take you away to a safer place. So don't start the day until you have it finished. A good plan for constructing a good day. Here's one that's a little tougher. Don't start the week until you have it finished. And even tougher, but the payoff is great. Don't start the month until you have it finished. This is the extraordinary gift that humans have, the ability to finish it first, then start it. It's like turning nothing into something. What are the elements of turning nothing into something? Only humans can do this. Here they are. Number one, imagination. Imagine the possibilities. It's hard to say imagination is not something. It's just that it's not tangible. Imagination is not, it's not a table, tangible. But it is powerful, imagination. Thank you, my dear, for that long journey. Saved my life. Thank you. So imagination, imagine the possibilities. Here's the next step of turning nothing into something. Believe that it's possible for you. A little phrase says, with faith, all things are possible. Without faith, nothing's possible. If there's one thing to pray for, that's probably it. Faith to believe. One, to imagine. Number two, faith to believe. What would make us believe? Testimonials? Someone finishes a dramatic testimonial. Here's where I started, when I was 18 years old. Here's where I am today. And then they finish by saying, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Come on. Right? I started just like you. I read the first book. I went to the first class. I made the first decision to start the process of change. That's how we get inspired. One, to imagine. Two, to believe. Then here's number three. Go to work and make it real. How to turn nothing into something. That's how this complex of buildings got here. Someone saw them when the property was vacant. You say, well, how can you see something that isn't there? Well, if someone can't see it when it isn't here, it will never be here. And some people can see it so clearly, they could give you the artist's rendering and say to you, this is the building. You say, no, it doesn't exist. Say, yes, it really does. In thought, in mind, in imagination. Then to believe that it's possible for you. Then simply go to work. That kind of teaching, that kind of training, right? The management of your time, the management of your money. I've been teaching now all these years the 70, 10, 10, and 10 on the management of your money. A lady not long ago told me she was in real estate. I said, how many properties do you own? She said, no, Mr. Owen, I sell real estate. I said, let me ask the question one more time. how many properties do you own? She said, not any. So here's what I said. If you sell real estate, you make a living. If you buy real estate, you make a fortune. I've averaged building a couple of homes a year up in Idaho, where I grew up. I still have the old family farm, southwest Idaho, overlooking the Snake River. I'm in the path of progress, so a couple of homes every year. Let me tell you one of the incredible real estate stories. 13 years ago, Ron Wagenhals up in Carmel, California, said, Mr. Owen, I have this neat little condo downtown Carmel where I know you want to live. I said, yes, I do. And he said, it's really small, but it's right there downtown, 1 bedroom. And he said, I want $80,000 for it. I said, nobody's going to pay $80,000 for this tiny little... If you weighed 200 pounds, you couldn't get in the shower. I mean, this is a real tiny place. I happened to be in Carmel about 5 or 6 weeks ago. Someone says, you might be surprised to know Ron Wagenhall's condo is still up for sale. And I hadn't looked at it before. I said, would you like to see it? It's just here a couple of blocks. I said, yes. I went and looked at it. Up 3 flights of stairs, this little tiny place, $650,000. So, Ron Wagenhals has thanked God every night before he goes to sleep that Jim Rohn did not buy this condo from him. Speaking of real estate, I have a home in Phoenix at the Biltmore, Arizona Biltmore complex. The last 2 houses before you arrive at the golf course, the country club, on lots, this is not 10 acres, 20 acres, on lots. The one back of the one that's right at the country club is $8 million, and the one right next to the country club is $15 million. Unbelievable. So all of you know all those stories, right? We shoulda, not just sold real estate, we shoulda bought real estate. Dan McBride had a great idea all those years ago. Jot this one down. This is good. Don't buy the second car till you bought the second house. It's not cars that make you rich. It's houses that make you rich. I taught this in Mexico. Sarah Alfaro picked it up 10 years ago. The 70-10, 10 and 10. And she not only does it, she teaches it. Now she makes about, I don't know, $35,000, $40,000 a month down in Mexico, which is a lot of money in Mexico. Sarah calls me the other day and said, Mr. Owen, I'm going shopping today for my 3rd car. I said, well, congratulations, Sarah, because I've just finished paying for my 3rd house. So, speaking of real estate. Anyway, where was I before I got off on that wild trip up to Carmel, California, where my grandchildren live? Okay, teach investing. Right. Earning money makes you a living. Investing money makes you rich. We teach kids now not to have a savings account because it's not savings that makes you rich. We teach kids to have an investment account, right? It's investments that make you rich. It should be the goal of every American someday to be financially independent. I remember reaching that all those years ago. Here's what my father taught: debt-free, financially independent. Here's why. When you reach that point, you can now work for joy instead of necessity. And usually you produce many times more productivity working for joy than working for necessity. Communication, learning those kind of skills, help transform people's lives. Now here's the last one on communication: learning to inspire, helping people to see themselves better than they are. Yes, here's the person you are, making some mistakes, errors in judgment, but here's the person you can become. Fortunately for me, I met someone who was gifted in this. He knew how to inspire. He only went to the 9th grade in school, never finished high school, never went to college, never went to university. And he put things in very simple terms, but he had this gift of helping to inspire. So make this note now. Start with your family and your children. Ask for the gift to inspire them. Then your employees, then your colleagues, then those who work for you. These skills now, learning these multiple skills, is going to ensure economic safety for the future. So to take advantage of Century 21, learning the skills, learn more than one skill. Here's number 2. It would be helpful to know more than one language. The world is getting smaller and smaller. When I was growing up, my father spoke German, but he never taught me. My mother spoke French. She was English, but she spoke French. She never taught me. I could have learned those 3 languages growing up. But back then, you know, our parents said, hey, leave all the old world languages behind, right? This is America now, just English, just English. But that's not true anymore. Some of my business colleagues who speak 3, 4 languages make $3, $4 million a year. Those languages are so helpful. So make this note. If you think the time has passed you by to learn the 2nd, 3rd language, give it as a gift to your children. Because it's going to be incredibly useful. Multi-skilled, multilingual in the 21st century. Now, what's next? In taking advantage of the opportunity of the 21st century along with the competition. The key is, number 1, learn the simplest lesson of economics. And I'm sure you've heard it over and over. But let me share it with you one more time. See if I can put it on the board here. Hey, no problem. I was going to move that right over here, Don, so it'll be easy for me. I like my name in lights here. That's really good, Don. Appreciate that. Mama said one day, if you're good. On the big screen. If you're good, yeah, I see that. I'm trying to see both screens at once, Don. So. Okay, you've seen this probably, you know, 1,000 times. We get paid for bringing value to the marketplace. The marketplace is the people, and the value is in 2 parts. Once you understand this, the world is yours. The value you bring, like a product or service, employment. And the second is the value you become. This can make you a living. This can make you a fortune. I learned that little economic outline when I was 25 years old. Really changed my life. And if you work for a company that keeps working on the product, they'll keep making the product better. The key for your better future is to keep making yourself better. Economics in America is very simple. It starts at $5 an hour. Called what? Minimum wage. And then it just goes up like this. Top income last year, I think, 36 million. Somebody earned for 1 year's work. So from $5 an hour up to 36 million, that's economics in America. No wonder everybody wants to come here. Guess what we call that? A heck of a ladder. I mean, that's, you know, what else could you call it? Now, here's something that changed my life forever. When I found out at age 25 that my income was primarily determined by my philosophy, not the economy. So make that note now, and if you know it, that's wonderful. If you teach it, that's even better. Your income is primarily determined by your philosophy, not the economy. I had no concept of that when I was 25 years old. I would have sworn to you. Because when my mentor said to me, how come you're not doing well? I showed him my paycheck. I said, look, this is all the company pays. He said, no, that's all the company pays you. I thought, well, that's a new way to look at it. So, speaking of philosophy, how would you go from $5 an hour to $6 an hour? Let me give you some examples on philosophy that can get you from $5 an hour to $6 an hour. Here's number one. Wait for the government to change the minimum wage. That's simple and easy, right? If you wait long enough, sure enough, the government will change the minimum wage, let's say, to $6. Now, by law, the company must pay you $6, so you're home free. You say, yes, but how long will it take? Answer, I'm sure much longer than you want to wait. But that's the first philosophy, wait for the government. Here's number two, wait for the company to pay you $6 an hour. How long will that take? How often is the review? 6 months, 1 year, let's say you don't make it. Second year, say, well, that's a long time to go from 5 to 6. It is a long time, but that's the next philosophy, wait for the company. Here's the third philosophy, and that's to go on strike. We call it the philosophy of demand. I demand $6 or I won't work. Now, if you're by yourself, this is a risky philosophy. If you've got 1,000 people now to take with you to the company and say, all 1,000 of us will not work unless we get $6, now you might have a chance. But by yourself, this philosophy doesn't work very well. The philosophy of demand only works by collective bargaining, we call it. Okay? And it does work. However, it's very limiting. You might get an extra penny or two, you might get an extra dollar, you might get an extra benefit, but it's very limiting, the philosophy of demand. And here's what for sure, jot this down. Using the philosophy of demand, you cannot get rich if getting rich is of interest to you. You can't get rich using this philosophy. Gosh, it's so sad when somebody is in the right country and they got the wrong philosophy. So you can't get rich by demand. So now, what would be the next philosophy that might work better for all of us, and I'm sure it's one of the reasons why all of us got here to this room today. Here it is, the philosophy of performance. The philosophy of performance simply states, I will perform so well, arriving early, staying late, doing all the extra things, that the company would easily be justified in paying me $6. My father gave one of the greatest seminars in a simple little sentence. Here's what Papa said. I wish he was here to say it, but since he's gone, I'll say it for him. Here's what he said. Always do more than you get paid for. Now, some unions would argue with us on that point and say, no, that messes up the system. But this is what Papa said. Always do more than you get paid for to make an investment in your future. These are philosophies to follow. Your income is determined primarily by your philosophy. See, that changes everything. It was your philosophy that got you here today, right? Maybe 5 years ago, you wouldn't have attended a class like this. Like, hey, why waste the time? It's the same old stuff over and over again. So you didn't go. Then something happened, something changed. You decided, wow, now I understand just one good idea could multiply my income in my future by 2, by 3, by 5, by 10. All of that good stuff can happen. So now you attend everything you can. And if you consistently go to everything you can, make this note. Some occasions will be life-changing. If you consistently go to the sermon on Sunday morning, consistently go to the classes, consistently go to opportunities like this where good ideas are being discussed, some heavyweight ideas that can multiply your future dramatically, if you just keep consistently going. Some of the occasions will be ordinary, some will be standard, and some will be life-changing, depending on the timing. Who knows the timing and for this audience here today? Who knows? We've all heard the phrase, nothing so powerful as an idea whose time has come. 15 years ago in Germany, the walls came tumbling down. The time for capitalism now sweeping the world and communism on the run. But here's another way to put it. make this note. Nothing so powerful as an idea that comes at the right time. At the right time for you. It's like having a lock that needs 4 numbers dialed in. Maybe before you got here today, you had 3 of those numbers dialed in. You've been looking now for that 4th number. And who knows? Not because I'm doing the seminar, but because, you know, the occasion was right, and the lights were right, and the atmosphere was right, and the neighbors you've discovered here in this seminar setting were right, and Jim Rohn said it as best he could, and that was right, and all of it came together, and for you, this becomes an extraordinary day. And you find today maybe that 4th number, and the lock comes open, and there's the door for new prosperity, new surge in progress, understanding what you didn't understand before. And I hope for a lot of you today, this could be that 4th number. This could be one of those days you look back and say, that was one of the days that turned my life around. Whether it's a challenging day or a day like today. You've heard my Girl Scout cookie story, right? All those years ago, I got this little family. I'm not doing well. I'm struggling. I'm 25 years old. I hear this knock on my door. I go to the door. There's a little girl about this tall selling Girl Scout cookies. She gives me the big pitch. Best organization in the world, the Girl Scout. We got these cookies, $2 for a box of cookies, several flavors. What do you want? And with a big smile, she very politely asked me to buy. No problem. I wanted to buy. Big problem. I didn't have $2 in my pocket. And I didn't want to tell her that. I'm a grown man. I'm 25 years old. I've been to 1 year of college. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I got a little family. I live in America. And I don't have $2 in my pocket. So I didn't want to tell her that. So I thought next best. I lied to her. And I said, hey, look, we've already bought lots of Girl Scout cookies. We've still got plenty in the house we haven't eaten yet. She said, okay, wonderful, thank you very much, and she leaves. When she leaves, I say to myself, I don't want to live like this anymore. I mean, how low can you get lying to a Girl Scout? I mean, that, right? There ain't no lower, believe me. This is it. I was just so happy it was not on the world stage. It was just me and the Girl Scout and God, which is enough. I promised myself that day it would never, ever happen again. So some days are dramatic. Some days are traumatic. And then some days explode progress like you've never seen it before. So I don't know what kind of a day this is for you, but if I choose good words and share good ideas in a good manner, with sincerity and hopefulness that maybe this is the right day for some of you, no telling what stories may come spinning out of this session here today. So, economics, pretty simple to understand, bring value to the marketplace. And the biggest part is the value you become. Working on your philosophy and all those other things. Let's go up this ladder now just to illustrate a point. Is it possible to multiply your income by 10? All kids need to hear this. It's not being taught, I don't think, in the local schools. You have to come to a Jim Rohn seminar to hear this. I never heard it until I was 25. It's possible to multiply your income by 10. If we searched around the Palm Springs area, could we find somebody that makes $50 an hour? And the answer is yes, of course. So it's possible to multiply your income by 10. Could you multiply it by 10 again?